And welcome to Hannity. And tonight in the Middle East, a paper tiger has been humbled. And back at home, well, your president has never looked more weak. Just 24 hours ago, Israel defied Joe Biden. They launched a counterstrike against the Islamic Republic of Iran. And they did it with just 3 missiles. And Israel reportedly took out a critical missile defense system defending Iran's main nuclear facility. Now, the message was very clear. Israel can and they will obliterate Iran's nuclear program if the Islamic Republic dares to launch another attack. Now, Israel in many ways shocked the world as they showed, frankly, how easy it was for them to penetrate deeply into Iranian territory. That's even after Biden abandoned them. Why? To appease his radical Democratic base, which is the Radical Democratic Party. Now, tonight, apparently, that message was received. According to Reuters, Tehran is now playing down the attack and signaling that there will not be any retaliation. Also tonight, there are 3 main losers in this international conflict. Let's go through them. Without a doubt, the biggest loser from last night to today was Joe Biden. Now, late last week, you might recall when the Islamic Republic of Iran was about to strike Israel, Biden politely told the mullahs in Iran, quote, don't. And then he shuffled off to the beach. The very next day, Iran, they attacked Israel, 170 drone strikes, more than 30 cruise missiles, 120 ballistic missiles. 99% of them were stopped. They never landed at their target. Now, a few days later, when Israel was planning their response, Biden once again uttered his favorite phrase, don't. This time he was telling Prime Minister Netanyahu, don't respond, give Iran a pass. Now, Israel then disregarded Biden, thankfully, and they went ahead with last night's targeted attack and reportedly keeping Joe out of the loop, wisely so, until the last minute. Now, the world simply has no respect for Joe Biden. That's why he is the biggest loser. Nobody listens to him. Nobody cares what he has to say. Nobody thinks he even knows what day of the week it is. And just to keep track, Biden's one-word foreign policy, I guess we can call it the Biden doctrine, the don't doctrine, is disregarded by our enemies. It is disregarded by our allies. And a few weeks ago, the Houthi rebels, you might recall, they ignored Biden's don't and continue to attack cargo ships. And who could forget when Biden told Putin, don't, and then Russia did invade Ukraine. Joe Biden is batting 1,000. Now, maybe we need a new Biden bumper sticker that reads, when don't means do, because they keep doing when he says don't. Now, here's the elephant in the room. The word don't is about as complex as Biden is, capable of getting to. Now, here he is today, struggling to just get basic, simple words out, the typical mumbling, bumbling, stumbling that's gotten worse all week. Take a look.
Corporations look for the cheapest labor in the world, sent the jobs, sent the product to those, sent the jobs to those laborers, whether they were in Asia or Europe, wherever they were, and then they sent the product back home. Well, instead of importing foreign products, I'm exporting for their products.
While Biden withers on the world stage, Israel, they are standing up to radical Islamic terrorists that attack them. They are standing up to their biggest foe. And that brings us to the next loser. And that would be the Islamic Republic of Iran and the mullahs of Iran, this country's radical regime. They usually hide behind their proxies. In other words, they use foreign terror groups, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthi rebels as pawns to do their dirty work. Last weekend, the mullahs finally mustered up a little bit of courage. They felt emboldened because Joe Biden's the president and he's been trying to appease them, and they attacked Israel directly. Now, that resulted in utter and complete humiliation. If you recall, on Saturday, Iran launched more than 300 of their most sophisticated missiles and drones towards Israel. 99% of the projectiles were shot down. Most, by the way, before they were even able to enter Israeli airspace. The United States and Jordan, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, they all helped defend Israel, shooting down Iran's missiles and drones. But during last night's targeted Israeli strike against Iran, nobody came to Iran's defense. And with just 3 missiles, Israel was able to send shivers down the spine of the radical Islamists in charge of Iran. And now it's time to finish the job. Now, the world should come together and take out Iran's nuclear sites. A lot of people have been saying, military expert after military expert, oh, that's going to be the most difficult task of all, to take out their country's nuclear sites, because they're spread all around the country and they're buried deep in the ground. Look how deep Israel was able to penetrate into Iranian territory. But if you take out those nuclear sites, well, guess what? That would be a big sigh of relief for the entire world. The next thing, you want to cut off the country's finances, take out their oil refineries, squeeze the regime, and return to the peace through strength policies that the world enjoyed during the previous president under Donald Trump. Iran had no money, their proxies were weakened, its reign of terror was held in check. Soleimani is dead. Biden then came into office, gave them billions and billions, turned a blind eye to them selling oil on the world stage. They waived sanctions so billions of dollars from Iraq could flow into their coffers. They stopped enforcing sanctions. And then, of course, they wanted to restart the ridiculous nuclear deal that began in the Obama-Biden administration. Now, the results, they speak for themselves. And by the way, let's not forget, Biden threw Israel, our closest ally in the Middle East, under the bus. Now that brings us to our next loser, and that would be Joe Biden's radical base right here in this country. Biden publicly has trashed Israel in their time of need, abandoned them, stabbed them in the back, twisted that knife, all in an effort to win back votes from far-left extremists that really are in charge of his party. These are people, many of whom, not all, that hate America, capitalism, and Israel, but regularly defend Hamas, Hezbollah, the Islamic Republic of Iran. Take a look at your screen. 13 Democrats, they refuse to comply and simply condemn Iran's attack on Israel. Where is their moral compass? Where is their moral clarity? You can't stand up against the #1 state sponsor of terror. You're going to support the people that help provide the weaponry and the plotting and the planning through the Iranian Revolutionary Guard and the Quds forces of the October 7th attack. You can't condemn that. Meanwhile, during protests, we rarely ever see the faces of these radical agitators, kind of like the Ku Klux Klan. They like to hide their identities behind their masks and their scarves. But now we do see their true colors, and it's not a pretty picture. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.